Welcome to the Elk Season Podcast, Season 3, Episode 7. Today is February 29th, 2024. We are 182 days away from Elk Season. We are the Chambers Brothers. My name is Harold.
I'm David.
And today on the Elk Season Podcast,
we have the usual wolves. Wolves are going to be talked about right away. We have drones and hunting. Something came up about that. What about pack out prep ticks? Wow, holy crap.
Prep ticks.
Anyway, pack out tips. I'll just say, simplify it to that. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the online media out there, like Elk 101. Weather out west has been taking some interesting turns. What does WMA mean? And then at the end, we're going to talk a little bit about fishing. All that and more. Elk Season Podcast.
All right, we ready?
We are in the thick of things, man.
It is 182 days
182
until Elk Season. Today is February 29th.
Yeah. What luck do we get to spend our extra day of the year doing the podcast together?
Yeah.
Think about it. I think that's fantastic.
We got some good stuff. The more we work on this list, I'm like, oh yeah, and there's this, and there's this. You know what? Write this down. I am going to make you a promise today, a promise of elk on the Elk Season Podcast. I'm going to make you,
elk.
I'm going to make you, David, a promise.
Okay, that promise.
That's coming up. That's coming up later on when we get to the Elk 101.
Oh, of course.
When we get to Elk 101, that's why I wanted to talk about it with you.
Okay, that's fine.
So
I'm looking. Can you hear the excitement?
I'm so
voice?
comforted by your voice. Right, you'd make a great optometrist.
We're gonna call this one.
Your gentle whispers.
We're gonna call this one.
Yeah,
and this one too. One
again, one,
and this one
and
too.
Two again, one. All right.
Okay.
So what's first on our list?
Wolves.
Oh, wolves. I
had a full moon the other day, and it was gorgeous. I actually have a cool picture. I probably should have thrown it in the folder.
I have signed up for my wolf trapping class.
Wolf trapping class. Now
yes.
You went up. Now remind me. You went up to.
I went up to Boise, just for the fur bearer license.
Fur bearer license.
Class, and you have to take something very specific for wolves.
Okay.
So I'm excited about what I'm going to learn about wolves. I think it's on the 23rd or 25th this month, sorry, it's not March yet.
Well, it would be March if we didn't have a leap year.
I know.
Think about that.
But it's a 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. class. It takes up a whole Saturday. So I'm really excited about what I'm going to learn. Also, I want to throw this out there. I'm already looking for a mentor. If you trap wolves in Idaho, and if I can come and spend time with you and get on, this will be next year probably. But if there's anything out there I can do, because not only do we need, that was one of the things they talked about in the fur trapping class.
Okay,
is find a mentor. You really need to get your hands on something. And so I'm really looking forward to being a mentor someday and helping other people trap wolves, because it's something we're going to have to continue to do. And it's going to continue to be fun to get out in the woods at the worst times of the year.
Yeah.
That sounds exciting to me.
Why not? It's almost as if wolf hunting turns into... I was thinking of the wrong... Never mind. I had a comment, and I realized last minute that I was thinking coyote, not wolf. Never mind.
Oh, okay.
Forget the Acme kit.
So I'm excited about the future of the entire wolf industry. The wolf economy that will no doubt be a part of our lives as long as we're hunting elk.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I was just we had talked about the wolf economy, and people appeared to have an interest of that.
Yes.
And it had racked up some views on another.
Yeah. And we're close to killing 50,000 elk a year between sportsmen and wolves.
Wow.
50,000 out of a population of 140,000 a year. 134,000 total in the state. 50,000 are killed.
That makes me nervous.
I know.
That does make me nervous.
It should, and it makes me nervous. And it should make Colorado really nervous.
I'm sure it does. I'm surprised that we don't hear more pushback. Possibly.
I hear stuff from, well, you know what?
It's not that I want the
There's
pushback.
like a hair floating on this microphone. It's messing with me. There we go. The pushback, whether there is pushback or not, whatever. if you push back, nothing's really going to change.
No.
What you need to do is prepare for the future and prepare some guys to go out of state and mentor in Wyoming and Montana and Idaho.
Yeah.
And be ready to trap wolves when it becomes legal in Colorado, because it will.
Yeah, active management of predators, something we have not shied away from on this podcast, is going to have to happen. So we've got to make
crucial.
sure it's done well.
So and then there's information, there's data out already on the wolves reintroduced to Colorado.
Yeah,
And that is that first picture, that map I have. The map's pretty telling,
it looks pretty.
right? It looks like a big area. There's a lot of roads.
Yeah, there's a
on
lot
that
of
map,
access on that.
right? And the top of that map is flat, because that's where Wyoming begins.
Yeah.
So that wolf left Colorado,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, so this is data from a collared wolf. Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking something else, but that's why you read headlines before you jump to conclusions.
I know, I read it. I'm sorry, I cheated. But so I found that interesting. You know, that they could very well shoot a collared wolf in Wyoming legally.
Well, the reality, though, I think, is that you can put a collar on a wolf and you can follow it, but the population is probably already starting to substantiate.
So
Possibly.
I go through the Idaho Reg Book a lot, and every time I see wolf, it's just a trigger word. I click on it and I want to read everything about wolves. And they really only have one specific mating period, so that their pups are born in the spring. So there should be. They were just released this year. If they have any luck at all, there's one or two breeding pairs in Colorado.
Okay. I guess it's probably
that will den up
more
and
closely
have pups
tracked.
this.
It just seems that the way that the population has exploded here in Idaho, that it gets to a point where how impossible is it to really truly track?
30 years has gone by since that first year, though.
Yeah,
That's a big difference.
There is a difference. So Colorado, and that anyway,
And that population growth is exponential and proportional to the elk population. So I see the next 5 to 10 years, and I've been saying this for 2. The next 5 or 10 years in Colorado is going to be very, very shifting.
mass hysteria.
Yeah.
For elk.
Well, it's certainly, one of the
other
comments
prey
you see all the time, whether you're watching hunting videos on YouTube or you're just watching TikTok or wherever on your scroll, one of the things you can see is people saying, when I was a kid, I would come up here and there would be elk from here all the way out here.
Yep.
Talking about how many elk there were. Well, there's a couple reasons those elk aren't there anymore. And one of them is, they're both from the wolves. One is depredation, but one is they have to keep moving. They have to find different areas to go. And so just because they're not there, it's probably good, because you were probably talking about a private swath of land, and they all left public land during hunting season, and stayed on your property. So there's a lot of different caveats, but the wolves will keep them moving, and it's going to be interesting. I'm like I said, the numbers alone concern me about the future of elk hunting in Idaho.
Yeah,
it's concerning. So I want my tag.
Yeah, I've never filled a tag, and I'd like to fill a tag before it becomes more concerning.
Right. I would like to at least get a tag.
Yeah, that too.
That's really important. So
it's a goal every year. I'm super excited for this year because I don't have a hernia slowing me down.
I have a promise for you later on.
Okay.
It's coming. It's coming.
I promise you. That was the last song on the radio before I got out for work this morning.
Who sings that?
I don't know, but it's that song at the end of Napoleon Dynamite.
Oh, I don't know if I know that one.
The Promise. Anyway, it's a good song.
Okay.
It's fun. And I only think of Napoleon Dynamite when I hear it, though, because that's the classic scene of him playing tetherball with what's her name in the court. Anyway, that has nothing to do with the podcast, but.
No, Napoleon Dynamite was filmed in Idaho. That's okay.
Okay.
You're totally on board.
I didn't want to go there, but you're right. I was going to pull that card, but you pulled it for me. It does have Idaho ties.
Yeah. The Gem State. That one, I'm going to leave that one in there. You know that, right?
And there's probably not going to be any context for why I just did that, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so wolves in Colorado, trapping. You're going to get your certification there.
Yeah, excited about it.
I'm kind of glad you don't have to travel up to Boise for that. Like they're going to have it local. So
yeah, that'll be fun. So we'll see, and I'm on the lookout for a mentor. I have a radio show, so I might speak up and look for a mentor.
Yeah,
over the radio. If anybody knows a wolf trapper, but I will certainly get that call out. So,
do we have anything else wolf to talk about?
Nothing comes to mind, but you know how that is.
Yeah.
We'll get right back to it. It's okay.
Yeah, it's all right. So we talked about something a couple weeks ago, maybe even maybe it was even last season.
Okay.
No, it was last season. You showed me video or introduced me, or I'm sorry, now my brain's going, well, maybe it was one of the first podcasts of this season. But that's okay. You showed me, introduced me to a guy who works out east. He uses a drone to help people recover carcasses.
Yes. Drone deer recovery
in Pennsylvania.
Yes.
And
he's born and raised Amish. Didn't know anything about technology, and now he has a drone service company.
Yeah. And I think it's rather remarkable. We talked about the pros and cons of that, but there wasn't really anything that struck me as horrible about it, providing, you're following ethics. You're actually trying to make sure that you don't have, or that you recover the animal. So it's not rotting. And I think that leads to better opportunities for people to not be dishonest and be like, I'm not going to cut my tag. I'm going to go hunt again, which I think is allowed if you put in due diligence.
Yeah.
But proving due diligence is anyway. The whole point I'm getting to is that I saw an article come up since our last meeting about drone hunter. This guy being in trouble, convicted of using drones to help hunters find deer carcasses.
So Mike from Drone Deer Recovery comes on the scene in whenever, but it's been a couple years I've been following him, and I'm really excited about this new M30 and this Matrice 30 drone. I told you I want one. I'm very excited about it. It's such a cool drone, such a great piece of technology. You can do so many things with it. Including a great surveys of animals and filming of animals. But Mike from Drone Deer Recovery just moves along in his drone game and gets to this Matrice 30, gets to this drone deer recovery program. He goes, "Oh my God, I have struck gold." So he starts putting a program together of how to teach guys how to be a drone deer recovery pilot. Here's the courses you need to take. Here's the drones you need to buy. Everything, right?
Yeah.
He's the mentor. So Mike from Drone Deer Recovery is not the guy who got in trouble.
Oh, it's a different guy.
It's another guy. It's one of his students. And Mike from Drone Deer Recovery really spoke out on Facebook, rightfully so, that this ridiculous, it seems very ridiculous to me. Yeah. And he says what it was, there's a law is it Pennsylvania, is that right?
It's Pennsylvania, yep.
There's a law in Pennsylvania that says you cannot hunt after dark. We don't hunt after dark. You don't have to hunt. I don't hunt after dark. No. But in Pennsylvania, that includes looking for something you've already shot. You cannot track after dark. That is against the law. And that says, I think Mike from Drone Deer Recovery even said, like in the reg book, or there's some legislation that says this isn't heavily enforced. Right? Yeah. It's not even enforced. Now they set up a sting operation on a guy finder. This is a sting. They call him and say, "I've lost a deer. Can you come and help me?" As soon as his drone goes in the air, it's more than 30 minutes after dark. They bust him.
Yeah,
which total sketchy, man.
It doesn't sound
totally
correct.
Sketchy. Yeah, it's a bummer.
Yeah. It's one of those. It's a weird technicality, and in one regard, you're like, okay, well, yeah, if we do this, it can act as a deterrent for people who might be bad actors. But at the same time, it's like
more harm than good.
Yeah, there seems
a lot more harm than good in this policy.
It seems like a waste of time.
Yeah,
and resources.
Yep. But then again, I don't even want to say that.
I'm not in Pennsylvania.
Then again, the DNR got a new drone. It's a $20,000 drone. Anyway,
at least until the investigation's over.
I don't know if they can confiscate that or not.
Yeah, I don't know.
I have no idea. If he's guilty, maybe they can keep it. Maybe that's what they want. I don't know.
But it seems a
the
little.
drones are really cool.
Seems iffy. And I've heard of some other iffy things that have happened in various places in the world, Pennsylvania. But but it has nothing to do with hunting necessarily, except hunting in a different sense. If you're, anyway, I'm not going to go there. So, drones and hunting. You know,
Yeah. I would love to have one of these M30 drones from DJI. Mike, I would love to take his course and spend $20,000 on a drone. I think that'd be so much fun. I told you what I would do with it.
Yeah.
I would spend my life, I would spend every hour I could flying it, trying to just track wolves, just to film them.
Oh yeah.
I think to have
Well, and that video that you showed me last week of the wolves that were
In the
tunneling
snow.
in the snow,
Yeah.
that was pretty cool.
to get anything like that, to film a hunt, to film wolves hunting.
Yeah.
Right? You could use this drone. I know I've talked about this before. You could use this drone to film an archery elk hunt. Right? You go into the backwoods. I'm sitting at the trailhead. You go into the backwoods. As soon as you get in a situation where an elk might come in, you can text me your location.
Okay. Yeah.
I can use the drone, find your location, and film the elk hunt from above. Use the audio that you're recording on site as the audio for the video that the drone gets.
Okay. I see the legal loophole there,
It's sketchy,
but
I know.
but it doesn't assuage
Yeah.
my anxiety about doing it. But I totally see it. I get it.
I would want to have like a fishing game official there.
Yeah.
Like, can you oversee this? Make sure
Yeah.
we're not
It's
doing
like,
anything
it's
wrong.
like
That's the next step, though, in filming these elk hunts. It's the next step. You got to know that. You got to know you're going to see it soon on YouTube.
Yeah.
You're going to see an elk hunt, an archery elk hunt from above. You're going to see other hunts from above too, because this drone can go so high and has a zoom so good that the animals don't know it's there. You don't know it's there.
Yeah, that's. Sorry, I had a bubble in my throat. That's,
Yeah, you did.
that's good to know. You don't want to harass the animals unnecessarily outside of the hunter, but
Right.
no, it's again, yeah, it's one of those things where it almost seems like you would require supervision from an official. Because
I would want the FAA there
any-
and fishing game and make sure this is good. Yeah.
A to Z, you got to have T's crossed, I's dotted,
Yeah.
and just because any accusation could come out as now it's unnecessary legal mumbo jumbo.
Yeah.
It's just ugh.
But this same, I'm telling you, this same guy, Mike from Drone Deer Recovery, has video of another drone carrying a deer carcass, hide and all.
Wow.
Okay, now there's a few pounds of gear I wouldn't mind getting up the mountain without my effort,
That is true.
right?
Yeah.
So and I think that's called a drop camp.
Yeah.
I think there's outfitting services that actually offer a drop camp. Hey, if you want to hike into this area, we'll leave all this gear here, the tent and everything. When you're done, hike out. We'll come clean it up. I think that's what it is. I should look into that more.
I don't know, but it could be drone drop delivery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very much.
I'd like to have drone drop delivery of myself to the top of the mountain. But then again, we get into the ethical mumbo jumbo of unfair advantage.
Yeah. Yeah. Now you can use, you can, if you're able to fly over where elk might be and see where they are and then land. I mean, that's just
bad.
Yeah. And so these small personal aircraft are going to be a thing in the next few years too.
Oh, I know.
So drone delivery will be a thing.
It's funny because you see these things and you read articles about them and they're like in production and they have all these prototypes out and you're like, oh, cool. It could lift me up to the top of the mountain. Then you realize very quickly that fantasy is lost to the reality but the ethics of it.
Okay. And 20 years from now, there'll be places in the Wood River Valley that rent those machines
For recreation.
to crowds of people. You can even program a tour. They don't even have to pilot them. Here you go. Boop, 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 boop. I was talking to the guys at the Ag Show on how they spray fields. I go, you don't really pilot, you just program. He goes, oh yeah, we just program. And that's what I did with my drone. You just type in the coordinates, this many feet, this far, this speed. Enjoy it like a roller coaster.
Yeah.
You just get in, you're protected, that it flies you up there. Anyways, so there's the future, the scary future that I see there.
That's think of this for a second.
Yeah.
This is a sidebar here, but there are people that want to sabotage hunters' efforts.
Yes, a few. Yeah.
Think of the use of drones in that context.
Yes. Yeah.
Those personal drones. Oh, I'm just out visiting the sites. Hi, Hunter. Oh, I didn't realize it's September 24th. Oh, is that a big bugling bull in front of you? I don't know why I had to talk like that, but I did.
Because if you're bothering hunters, you probably talk like that.
Maybe. That's what I do when I bother other hunters. And I'm a hunter. Figure that one out.
Well, I bother hunters that, Idaho 1 in my area. It's okay when I do it.
Right?
Yeah.
Anyway. All of this is in what I hope the efforts that we have with this podcast keep our minds on it, insight in mind, give us the correct mentality to keep focusing our efforts in little or large ways for the eventual hunt.
Yeah.
And so
the sacred holy month of September.
Yeah, I would really like to pack out an elk as much as I don't want to pack out an elk. And one way that we can prepare for that is to share some pack out preparation tips.
Yeah.
And you mentioned this recently, I think, and only now that I've seen an image, I go, okay. And
you get it.
In my mind, at first, I was like, eh.
Yeah.
But then I see it, and I go, that's not that dumb.
If we just met at the canyon rim, put on backpacks, hike down, and hike back up.
Yeah.
That's a chore, man. That's a chore. You put 40, 50 pounds on your back.
Is that an 80-pound? So basically,
I don't know.
It's concrete on a box with shoulder straps, and it's just, you're going to be carrying out a lot of weight. And the pack you already have is probably 20, 30 pounds at best.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you're going to add to that another 40 pounds. So you need an 80-pound sack of concrete, or sackcrete, if you will. Yeah. And you just carry that thing around to prep. Don't skip leg day. And here's a great way to get leg day in.
Yeah. If you really want to simulate, if you really want to prepare for elk season, you need to best simulate what it's like to be elk hunting and to be hiking with heavy loads on uneven terrain. So even walking in the canyon is playing it safe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
No joke.
You walking on uneven ground, articulating your ankles. Some days my ankles are just beat up.
I will tell you, though, where we hunt the majority of the time, we're so familiar with that, it kind of feels like it would be equivalent to walking the canyon because we know, and that's what the advantage is of getting to know your area. You know the ins and outs. Like when we came out
every
of
trail, every rock.
We hiked out of the cross. We decided to come down this one ravine thinking we're going to get down to the bottom. It's going to be sketchy. And there was just barely a sketchy part. And it was
beautiful.
Like, oh my gosh, a highway down to the trail.
Yeah.
So what other pack out tips? You have actually packed out 2 elk in your history.
Yeah. Yeah, I have. Alone.
Yeah.
Both times.
You're welcome for that.
Yes,
I wasn't there for either one of them.
It is.
I don't know why that's something I want to brag about, but
it is a matter of pride. I mean, I packed out one last year, but we had help, and it was just it was an epic hike. It was so much fun. So much better with somebody else. That a big strong guy that can pack.
Yeah,
that made it a lot easier.
I can imagine.
So,
and I hope to experience.
Yes, you will. You will.
I just my schedule keeps me away from the weekends that you're out. So when you got your bull 2 years ago, that was crazy to think about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Right. But think about the success that is accrued, right? Because even though you didn't get one last year, you helped someone else acquire one. So all that.
Yeah. I called one in that was killed.
Yeah.
I called one in that wasn't killed, and I had one called into me that wasn't killed.
That's right. Yeah.
So I had a pretty good year. I'm not upset at all.
Yeah. No,
I'm not mad.
The successes are starting to mount and speak for themselves, which gives me a lot of optimism for the near future, to be able to go out and either one of us have that success. Yeah. So, but yeah, take care of your legs, prep for that.
Yeah.
Do things in the off season.
I'm having some knee issues and some shoulder issues, so I like to keep some extra workouts, zero impact. So it's nice to get on an exercise bike. It'll feel good to get on an actual bike when the weather gets nice. So we'll be talking about the weather out west in context of the
I was thinking about the bikes recently. The kids made me fill up their bike tires so they could ride up to the school and stuff recently. But I'm like, man,
was that Sunday?
Yeah.
because it was nice on. You could. I was out on my driveway in flip flops on Sunday.
Yeah, it was Sunday.
Yeah. Is that still recording?
Yeah, I just
okay.
I forgot to have it follow.
Oh, okay.
So we'll just get that.
All right. What's next?
Well, packing out an elk is important, but there's other people who give us advice and tips, and we can watch them on various social medias.
Yeah.
But one in particular is Elk 101. What do you got?
I made a list of different people that feature archery elk on their YouTube channel. And it goes on and on and on and on.
It's a big list, huh?
On and on. It's such a long list.
Wow.
And one of them, and there's so many, and all the guys are great. And there's something humble about the way a hunter tells a story, because especially when they go out alone. And I've watched a lot of these guys. They're not big names on YouTube, right? They go out alone, and the way they tell their story is just great. I've always really enjoyed it. And you have a big production like Destination Elk.
Yeah.
Corey Jacobson and Elk 101, the Elk 101 crowd. And this year's been kind of slow.
Yeah, it's been different than the years past.
And they don't have a lot of action. I really don't like their camera guy, if I'm speaking the truth.
Not a fan of his cinematography. We don't know him to judge him personally, but we don't like his cinematography.
No, I don't like him. I'm pretty sure. I'm just kidding. No, the cinematography, needs some work. And so that's a bit irksome. But Corey Jacobson's son finally shoots a nice big bull.
Okay.
Very nice bull. What a great shot. Cool shot. The bull turned last second. It ended up killing him so fast anyway. He was so lucky. He was so lucky. And they did the cinematography was good on that. So that shot was really cool. But I'm thinking about all these episodes of Elk 101 that I've watched. And I'm like, oh my God, is this the first elk they've killed on Destination Elk V6 this year?
No.
When did they kill another one?
Donnie got his in New Mexico.
Did he really?
Yeah. No, didn't. He didn't. I thought he did. I thought Donnie got
Corey
his.
missed 2 shots.
And I thought
Donnie never took one. Donnie never packed anything out.
I thought Donnie got his, but it's already, how many episodes ago is that? I forget.
Right. That's exactly what I was thinking. They're on episode 11.
Yeah.
What's the success rate for archery elk?
10%.
1 out of 10.
Yeah.
Here they are, episode 11. Finally closing a deal.
Yeah.
Finally closing a deal.
But it's not either one of them. It
doesn't matter.
irrelevant,
It doesn't matter. The promise I want to make to you is, and this is true, because the year I got my elk in 2022, when I got my elk that year, I spent more days sleeping outside than I did sleeping inside.
Yeah.
During September. I want to make you this promise. You spend 10 days hunting elk. You will be successful. 10 good days. Not 10 days at camp. The day we had, like a Saturday, if you can give 10 days like that, you're going to kill an elk.
Yeah. I don't have 10 days.
I know.
Which
I know.
sucks.
I know.
But I totally know what you're saying.
Right, but
especially if you have those 10 days back to back to back.
Oh my gosh, you would have to be on it. If you could give it 100% 10 days, it's hard to give it 10 days in a row. I mean, you got to take a couple days off. You almost need 2 weeks. So you have some rest days built in.
My eventual goal is to be able to take the last week of September off.
Yeah.
But that's challenging because I'm an instructor. I'm a teacher. I'm a professor.
Yeah, I know.
And
September's the start of everything.
It's the Not that I couldn't get it done. I just have to I have to plan very intentionally, especially if I'm not on sabbatical.
Yet. So anyways, that's the only correlation that I'm making, and I appreciate that they're showing so much failure.
Yeah, no, I really
do.
You know, Corey talked about that at the beginning of the season. Like, we're our focus, and he didn't say that directly. He didn't say directly that we're going to fail a lot, but he hinted at it when he said our focus is going to be about the failures.
Yeah,
when they talk about it afterwards.
What did we learn? Yeah,
that was kind of a clue. Like,
and you have to.
Yeah.
And we debrief after every hike. When we're riding out, we debrief. We go over every detail.
It's a joy as much as it is a pain because especially after the last day last year.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that guy was 40 yards from me. He tiptoed in, and
Sneaky.
But what you learn from that is it increases your awareness to stay patient for longer.
Yeah.
That was part of it. Is I knew that he was going to come down the center of the hill, but I was impatient and thinking, and I started to wander. Go, oh, well, maybe he comes from the side.
Yeah.
But they come. One of the things that I learned a long time ago, and I failed to remember, and I don't think we actually talked about it in this instance about this particular situation. Elk like to come down ridge lines. They hike.
Really?
They go out ridge lines. They come down ridge lines. You know who taught me that?
Huh?
You.
Did I really?
And
where did I pick that up?
I don't know.
Okay.
But maybe it wasn't something you taught me on purpose. But when we hunted elk in Montana, in the snow that one day, it was during that time that either it came to my awareness, but I thought you taught me, but I thought it was something because when those elk spooked out of there, they went straight up the ridgeline.
Yeah.
And we've seen that dozens of times. And when you and I were out, I don't know if we were shed hunting or we were doing something up north of Cary.
Okay.
And we saw those elk in the spring in June.
Oh, yeah.
You know what they did? They went up to the ridge and they left.
Yeah.
When I was up there
in
1997, they did the same exact thing. It was deja vu when you and I saw those elk.
That's the ridge we got to hike looking for sheds.
Yeah.
That's the ridge.
Yeah. So really, we found sheds out there on the hillside.
We have.
Oh,
I know.
June
that's what I
is
was
calling.
going for. We got to have a long hike.
So knowing that about elk now, so it depending on your circumstance, if you are trying to get an elk and an elk is willing to come down to you, he's likely going to come down that ridge line rather than coming. I don't know. I'm speaking from limited experience though. So if anybody watches and they're like, he doesn't know what he's talking about,
you're right. You're right. It's okay. I'm
just saying I'm trying to put the pieces together, and this is one way I'm trying to look at it now. And I'll collect more data and I'll get better at it. But anyway, that if I had thought about that, maybe that would have kept my focus a little bit more, so I wasn't turning so dramatically because it was the turn that spooked him out of there. But he didn't spook. He just I don't like the way that tree moved.
Right.
I'm going to go back the other way.
Yeah.
And then you're down there.
He had, the elk have to have that situational awareness.
Yeah.
And they're good at it. They're very good. They come in there and go, "There's something sketchy going on."
And because you were making noises, he slowed down to be more situationally aware.
Yeah. Like, let's check this situation out. Like, I should be able to see a cow right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. He was cool.
Should have had the decoy out.
Should have had the damn decoy out.
Anyway. So, that is a very positive thing. That was a very positive thing I think I've got from Elk 101 this year. I think they're 11 episodes in, and that's their first elk coming down. It might be their second.
I thought Donnie got something in, but I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah.
He might have come home empty-handed. I don't remember.
Yeah.
I feel like he got something because they came home and they focused on Corey, not necessarily Donnie.
Yeah. Well, Donnie's not with them.
Well, yeah.
Well, he was. They were in Idaho for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. Well, anyway, there's plenty more of Elk 101 to come, and there's plenty other really great elk content on YouTube.
Lots of it.
Find some guys telling some really cool stories, and you'll learn.
If not just the video people.
You will learn little things that will help you so much when you're in the field. Little tiny hacks, like they don't even bring it up. They go, hey, "This is what I do," and you're like, "Oh, that would be so nice. I'm doing that." So there's a lot of that really cool stuff.
Do we want to go weather now?
I think so. I don't have the list in front of me, so
we have weather, WMA, and fishing.
Oh yeah. Let's do that. Let's talk about the weather.
So the weather.
How's the weather?
Well,
There's a big storm headed for California right now.
Yeah, it's there's a lot there. What was it? In fact, I'm glad you brought this up because I remembered I made a mental note. I did want to talk about this because
12 feet of snow heading for the Sierra Nevadas. Yeah.
feet, and we just went through a winter storm warning here in our mid Idaho, northern Idaho to us here in Twin Falls.
Yeah.
Where in the valley, like the Ketchumson Valley area, was going to get 9 to 13 or 4 to 6 inches below 7,000 feet.
Yeah.
And above 7,000 feet, 9 to 13.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. There were times when we lived in Helena, there were times where the snow down, how do you want to say, down by Kmart
Yeah.
was 2 inches, and the snow up at the Capitol was 6 inches.
Wow.
And the snow's still falling. And you couldn't drive in the steep streets near the
Yeah.
Capitol.
Oh my gosh.
It's just a nightmare.
I'm kind of glad I didn't have to learn how to drive in Helena. Y'all had my hat's off to my older siblings.
Yeah. Yeah.
You delivered pizza and newspapers and
Oh yeah.
everything else and all that crap with a 2-wheel drive Monte Carlo.
Yeah. Sometimes. Yeah. Depending on the day. I had a lot of different vehicles.
Yeah, you did. But so weather, it's pretty crazy to see how the weather is being impacted by our El Nino, which started late.
Yeah.
But what it's interesting, an early El Nino versus a late El Nino.
Yeah, they're talking about this has been one of the moistest
more
winters, moisters El Ninos. It's a very moist El Nino.
I'm trying to find the word.
So if there's 12 feet of snow falling in the Sierra Nevadas, I've come over Donner Pass and had to pay to have.
Did you stop at that? Did you stop at that restaurant?
I had to pay $150 for some guy to put snow chains on the car, or I had to turn around and drive back to California. I mean, and it was packed. The interstate was packed of people with chains on all over the place. It was insane.
Yeah.
Now you have this storm coming, and you have. I saw a TikTok from a highway official already who says this I-80 is going to be shut down. They're already running out of.
I do not want to be a wrecker. I do not want to be a tow truck wrecker crew.
Yeah.
In that area.
Yeah, they were just a wrecker crew was just pulling out a big 18-wheeler when the guy at the highway department was saying, "Hey, listen, I-80 is going to be shut down." So and then Placerville, the Placerville Dam, is already at 100%.
Yeah, and
100%, and 12 feet is coming to the Sierra Nevadas.
Yeah, it's going to be a big.
So that is a story I'm definitely going to be paying attention to.
That and Oroville Dam, which is north of that.
Okay, maybe that's what I was talking about.
Yeah, they've been releasing water from Oroville in anticipation of a lot of this.
So yeah, maybe it's Oroville.
But there's a whole bunch of water
reservoirs
down there that are the California water.
And have you seen Death Valley?
It's got a lake.
The lake at Death Valley.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy.
And it's kind of baffling people because it's not something I think that they've really witnessed, to where they've witnessed water pool.
It's been a long time.
But they've not witnessed it stay as long as it has. Yeah. And that's really probably related to, the amount of moisture we've had. The moistest.
Yeah, the moisterest. So we have, whenever a storm hits the Sierra Nevadas, the storms typically have an east to west trend, and they also trend a little bit north.
Yes.
So a lot of the storms that we get come from the Sierra Nevadas.
Yeah.
Yes, some do come out of Oregon. Some do get pushed around the Rocky Mountains.
Yep.
From north, from Boise, south to Twin Falls. But I also see the track that they go from Reno all the way to over Yellowstone. That's sort of the track it makes. So I'm wondering about what kind of effect it's going to have. The remnants of this storm is going to have the leftovers here in Utah, Idaho, Wyoming, and Montana.
It'll be interesting to see what pushes up into our area. We were supposed to have snow at one point today. We didn't have that, but it looked like it was getting gnarly before you came over. The clouds were moving in. It's getting darker outside, but we'll see. The weather is.
But it's been so warm. It's been so warm. It will get down below freezing a couple more times this week. But today was 57, windy.
Yeah.
But almost 60.
Yeah.
So when we think about the elk and the elk rut, and the fattening of calves,
you brought that up. That's where my mind was
and
at.
the birth of calves, we want to be thinking about where are they right now? Well, they're down in the lowlands probably.
Yep.
Pushed out of the mountains mostly. There's a few few rugged bulls that stay on those big ridges up in the high mountains, the tough guys. But for the most part, the big herds are down pretty low in huge groups. And they're going to have to break up in the spring.
Yeah.
And calve individually, and then group back up and start to slowly group back up for the rut in September. So, and get fat. They need to get fat. That's the thing. You want the rut to happen, the cows have to put on fat.
Yeah.
So they need to give birth, low stress. They need lots of nutrients.
So we need a mild spring.
Yeah.
We need all this moisture, but we need a mild spring. Not like last year. The winter held on and held on and held on.
It did.
And
now it feels like the winter never got hold.
Yeah, and it feels like it could be another late winter because the way that the storms are moving in even right now here.
Yeah.
And March is in about 6 or 7 hours. And that's sort of like we're still in winter, but spring break is next month, which is in about 6 or 7 hours. And that was a dumb thing to say, but I try, and eventually success happens. That's why I'm optimistic I'll get a bull this year. And why?
How optimistic are you? Are you 100% confident? Because we used to pack cigars.
I forgot about that.
I was thinking about that this week. I'm like, that's confidence, man. That is GD confidence. We're ready. Like there's any time to smoke a cigar after you get a bull down.
As soon as that animal drops, I'm lighting up.
So much work to do. You're like, get that out of my face. I got work to do. But anyways, that confident, we're packing cigars. We should do that again.
I am eager to get to the cardio and get more physical to help continue the rehabilitation of my health condition from last year, to make sure that it didn't get too. I don't think I took any steps backwards. I think the surgery is pushing me forward, but I want to get everything back into tip-top shape. So I'm eager for that because I noticed that part of what helped me heal, and I'm still healing. I still have moments. But where I felt like I was healing the best, and the doctor actually told me this in the follow-up, one of the follow-ups.
Yeah.
Like once I got to a point where weight restrictions weren't a concern, he's like, you really got to be moving. Like exercise and blood flow and cardiovascular to that region is going to really help things go. So
good deal. Good. So you got the green light?
Mostly.
Okay.
I mean, that was at the beginning of January-ish. So,
okay.
But I did notice after that, because I was hesitant to do anything. So hearing the doctor say, hey, you should be doing this stuff, I took a little more liberty to go for longer walks or to do a little bit more exertion.
Right. Okay.
Around. And I can't remember. So one of the things I did where, the pain that I felt with the healing process, it was shoveling snow.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Shoveling snow brought to my attention that was what I needed. So getting rid of a bunch of snow, and I wanted to do a leg day joke I told you about. So unfortunately, I missed my opportunity this year. But all of that snow removal in front of my house was very therapeutic to the rehabilitation of my hernia issue. So very excited to get on a bike, on my elliptical, into the yard work even. In fact, I saw somebody working on a sprinkler head on campus today, and I was like, we have a little privacy fence I put in the backyard, and I want to dig out around it, put some gravel down, and build up a little patio-ish area. So it's not going to have pavers, but it'll just be soil and stuff, or rocks.
Right.
And you kind of go sit out there and read if you want. But anyway, so that's on my to-do list, and that I'm excited for that because that's going to put me into the putting out that exertion, getting some of that upper body work a little bit, but also there's a lot of tamping involved once I get the gravel down, and so I could keep going.
That's good. That's good. Well, you want to go? You want to go on a shed trip in the South Hills with me?
When?
Shed hunting trip? You know what?
The South Hills doesn't open up officially on most of the roads until Memorial Day. There's a lot of roads that are like, you get to a certain spot and it says, please don't pass this until
There's
Memorial
a very
Day.
specific spot that I want to go that doesn't have roads.
Oh.
It's called the Big Cottonwood Wildlife Management Area.
Roads? Where we're going,
we
don't need roads.
Right. Are we there yet in the on the list? Are we talking
WMA? Yeah,
WMA?
that's a great segue.
Good. So we drive out to there's a couple of sections close to Twin Falls here that have some legendary elk. I don't know if Jacobson was hunting. I know he was in Idaho. I don't know if he was hunting 54 in the South Hills.
Yeah.
But man, it looked close. It looked close. All the mesquite trees, the no big mountains, and big bulls, and tags that are really hard to get. Right. So all that stuff added up. There's only 40 elk killed in 2022 in 54.
Oh, wow.
All that's rifle and bow.
Yeah.
And that's all by draw.
Yeah. But some of the biggest animals, the records in Idaho come from
the biggest 400 inches of antlers on some of the bulls in the South Hills. And so I've been interested, and every time we drive past, we would go out to 55 and we'd hunt mule deer out there.
Yeah.
There is the big Cottonwood WMA area.
Yes.
WMA is a wildlife management area. And so for my radio show this week, I wanted to do a report just because I wanted to learn. The best way to learn is to try to teach somebody else. So that's what I did. So I just kind of put together some bullet points about what a wildlife management area is. There's, I think, 27 of them in Idaho. The biggest one is 84,000 acres.
Wow.
Huge. The big Cottonwood WMA, I think, is 1,400 acres. Okay. But it's important to note that the big Cottonwood WMA borders a lot of Forest Service and BLM.
Right.
So it doesn't mean you can only hunt that area, but it does border it. And no motorized vehicles allowed. Love that.
Yeah.
You have to get out and walk. And I found out that the big Cottonwood WMA was used to reintroduce California bighorn sheep. There are bighorn sheep in the South Hills.
It still boggles my mind a little bit.
So I was talking about it. One of the guys I go out with every morning goes, he was an older fellow. He goes, I was in my garage working all day yesterday. I was listening to your whole radio show. I've seen bighorn sheep in the South Hills. I go, shut up, you have. He goes, turkey too.
Jeez. I'm really interested in turkey.
They're in WMA. There's a season coming up.
I don't have my license yet, but I might have to get it if we go out there.
Yeah.
During the season.
I did a whole thing on how much you're buying your sportsman's package saves you.
Yeah.
And then the other day, after I did that report, I saw another page on the thing that says, you save 43% when you buy the sportsman's package. I'm like, yeah, that sounds about right. Okay. I think altogether, if you bought everything that the sportsman's package gives you, it's about $220.
Okay. Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that sounds
And anyway, so I'm interested to doing some hiking in the WMA. I would like to learn it. I would love to get some phone scope of bighorn.
Oh yeah,
in the South Hills. That would be cool. I would love to see a turkey. I would love to just learn about the area. So, anyways,
yeah, I've seen turkey in very few places. You and I were in Oregon. We came around a corner and there was a turkey in the road. But over in eastern Idaho, when I'd go to Pebble Creek ski resort, you'd come around a corner on your way up to that ski resort, and there was just hundreds of them.
I see them every year in Montana.
But it was private property up there.
Up around Canyon Ferry Lake now.
Oh, wow.
Every year when we go up there, if you drive, I always see turkey. Always see turkey. So. I would love to hunt turkey. Now, to hunt turkey, there's a general season, and then there's a youth hunt. In fact, the very first youth hunt for turkey in the state of Idaho happened at the Big Cottonwood WMA.
Okay.
The first youth hunt in the state for turkey. So it was one of the first places they really reintroduced, or maybe it was the first youth specified. Maybe that's what it is. Anyways, it's just cool. So I want to learn a little bit more about that. I would love to see some bighorns and some.
There's a lot we've been learning about the different places we could have hunted, but we didn't know, or at least maybe.
And this reg book, so they have special hunts. So that's another part of this. What I'm learning is understanding the reg book, because there's no general season, April 15th to April 30th for turkey in the WMA. No general season. But there's a special hunt if you draw and put in for it. So you have to. Anyways, I don't want to speak outside my knowledge on the reg book. But I don't want to get anybody in trouble. But
the lesson and the message that you're sending to anybody who comes across this is like, it's a good policy or practice rather to get into your reg book and learn about it, because look at all these things that you're learning. Like that when I talked about what was it? City of Rocks.
Yeah.
I would have never thought. I always just assumed
It was off limits.
but it's not.
I always thought the WMA was off limits.
Yeah.
Just because, well, they don't want hunters in there. They're managing the wildlife.
Right.
Right. But no, it's like, everyone's welcome. It's a great recreational area. Hunters, fishermen, hikers, all that stuff.
So
Yeah.
read your reg books. Know the rules. It's
fun to get to know.
It's actually very informative.
Yeah.
I've appreciated.
I've learned a lot.
So,
Uh-oh. Do I need to take a break?
do we need to pause?
That was my son up there. Okay. Sorry about that. Where were we?
Fishing.
Yeah. I also learned in the reg book that there's some invasive species. There's some rainbow trout in the South Fork of the Snake River. If you catch a rainbow trout in the South Fork of the Snake River here in Idaho, take it to Fish and Game, $50.
That's sweet.
If that rainbow trout has a microscopic chip in it and they scan it and it has a chip in it, that's $1,000 fish.
So, if it's an invasive species, here's a quick question.
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
Yeah.
If it's an invasive species they're paying us to remove, how did they get the ones chipped in the first place? Who planted that?
Right. That's a good question. I have no idea what the answer to
Just
that
throwing
is.
that out there. I know I didn't think
It's in a river. So maybe that's how rivers are kind of connected and stuff. I
honestly don't know. It makes me go, well, that's a curious thing.
Yeah, because
I'm sure there's a logical answer. I just don't know what that is.
Right. And they plant 30 million fish at different places around the state. And maybe it was a mistake they made. I don't know.
But marvel at and appreciate the efforts that go to keep us recreating and having these opportunities.
Yeah.
And I talked about this a couple of podcasts ago.
Yeah.
And having fish to catch. It's a fun process. I do wish it was a more natural process, but because of the sheer numbers of people fishing, we got to have this process in place.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, the place where you caught those cutthroat, I like cutthroat.
All of a sudden, that's good fish, isn't it?
I don't care for rainbow.
Yeah, not so much me either.
Those cutthroat were.
Yeah. Yeah, those were good. I'm looking forward to catching some more of those.
Yeah.
I would love to catch one on a fly rod.
And when I looked over the stocking history of that river, it was mostly cutthroat with some brooks and a couple rainbows, but mostly cutthroats.
Okay, let me ask you this: how much do you think the biggest one of those cutthroats weighed?
Oh, maybe third of a pound. They weren't terribly big.
They were way over a pound. Maybe not.
It was a big fish this big.
Do you know what the state record is for a Yellowstone cutthroat trout?
I don't.
2.88 pounds.
Okay.
So I thought I was close to the record. I did. maybe a third the way there,
Maybe. All I know is that we fried them up on the tailgate, and it was
amazing.
You, me, and Bram, and we ate every last bit of those little
it was
creatures.
Soft and flaky and buttery and yummy. Yeah.
I think what's also crazy is we weren't 100% sure what they were, but we figured it out, and we actually figured it out in a way because of river runs through it.
Yeah.
But it was just kind of crazy. It's funny how much you think you know, but then you run into a situation you don't know.
Right. The first thing I did when I caught that fish, I'm like trying to identify it.
Yeah.
It didn't look like a cutthroat that I'd seen before.
And what's crazy is the last time I had caught fish in that river, it was brookie. It was clearly brookie. Yeah. And I caught a brookie the size of those that you caught.
Wow. Those are some fat brookies.
Yeah, brookies I can handle too.
Brookies
they're very similar to the
nice.
cutthroat.
It's just a nice white meat fish, just a blank slate. Season it with whatever you want. That's what it's going to taste like. That's good. They're good fish.
Yeah. So, and I was with Draven when I caught that. We had a fish off. We had gone up there to hike around. But the first fish I caught that day was that big brookie, and I didn't have a way to carry it. I'm like, so I put it back, and I didn't end up eating it. But
oh, bummer.
I know. And it was roughly the same area that you caught the ones you caught. So
good.
The cutthroats, the brookies had been fished out, and the cutthroats had come in. So I got to improve my skills and abilities to catch fish, though.
It's work.
So.
Well, it's not work. It's fun.
It used to be more quick for me. I honestly don't know why.
The streams have changed. The streams have really changed out west. I mean, I know
Quit
that
blaming something other than me.
there's
kidding.
the fish are just not as plentiful. I mean, I remember, 20 brookies. It was a limit in Montana.
Yeah.
25 in Idaho.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember hitting that limit. Going, okay, well, we're done fishing for the day. Well, good
Yeah.
luck now. Good luck
Yeah.
trying to get 20 brookies.
Yeah.
Remember those pictures of fish?
Oh, yeah.
We put them all on a willow and string all these fish across the willow. Those are my favorite pictures
Yeah.
to get. We destroyed some brookies, man.
Oh, yes, we did.
Yeah.
Fish fry heaven.
All right.
And
Is that it? Is that all we have?
That is all we have.
Wow.
We have come to a close.
All right. And we were worried about filling up a whole hour.
Yeah.
Look at that. It's pretty darn close.
Episode 7, man.
All right.
Lucky episode 7 on the extra day of the year.
Yeah, to the 29th. All right. We'll see you in a week. Stay busy. Don't skip leg day.
Be well. Stay awesome. Cheers.
Goodbye.